Welcome to Whispers of Healing, where we speak the unspoken, heal what's been hidden for too long, and guide your heart back to the love it truly deserves. Picture a scenario that many of us know well. Your eyes drift over the phone screen, and out of nowhere, a message pops up, an unexpected reminder from the past. It reads something like, "Hey there, long-lost friend. How have you been?" Or maybe a simple, "I've been thinking about you." The sender is none other than him, the one who vanished from your life, leaving behind nothing but an empty space. He is the one who made you question everything, prompting you to dig deep within yourself, trying to figure out where you might have gone wrong, wondering if you were too demanding in your hopes and expectations. You freeze, rereading the messages repeatedly over and over again. You remain silent in response, not because you don't want to reply, but because confusion and fatigue are battling fiercely inside you. In this moment, silence transforms into not his weapon, but your fortress. Within this silence, thoughts swarm, questions swirl, nostalgia and resentment mix alongside a burning desire to avoid repeating the painful experience. Why do they come back? What truly lies behind those words? Has he really changed? Have I truly come to understand my own worth? Or is this merely a test of my resolve? Am I still open to possibilities? Am I prepared to offer myself to someone who may not be capable of truly appreciating it? Thus begins the agonizing journey of deep reflection. After all, numerous women with bitter experiences have come to learn one essential truth. Not every return is motivated by genuine appreciation. Sometimes it's simply a desire to ensure that the door remains open for them. As a wise friend who has gone through a similar experience, she will be more than willing to share her insights with you. Open your eyes wide, because there are signs that you can no longer ignore. No more. This discussion is about men who have low emotional value, not to judge them, but to understand them, because understanding gives you the chance to make a different choice. And a choice rooted in self-love changes your entire story. As Louise Hay once said, "When you truly love yourself, you stop settling for crumbs, not out of harshness, but because you have finally come to realize your worth." Get ready to confront the truth, not by succumbing to fear, but by showing the strength of someone who is ready to close the doors that lead to confusion and pain. Instead, open yourself to a relationship that offers benefits, respect, and confidence in your decisions. This situation is much more common than it appears. He vanishes suddenly without any arguments and for no clear reason. Just the day before, he was still present, showing interest in your day, sharing amusing pictures and suggesting the possibility of a serious relationship. And today, all that remains is emptiness and silence without a message, explanation, or even a goodbye. Naturally, you begin blaming yourself. You replay the conversations in your mind, searching for hidden signs, drowning in doubt, and enduring the oppressive wait for a message that never comes. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and then suddenly he reappears as if nothing happened. He might say hi, or "I've been busy," or even the classic line, "I've been thinking about you." This moment, although it may be fleeting, stirs up a whirlwind of emotions because your heart remembers. Part of you wants to believe that his return signifies something meaningful, that he has finally come to the realization of his mistake. Listen, dear friend, allow me to be completely honest. A man who vanishes without a word and then comes back as if nothing ever happened is clearly showing a blatant disregard for your time and feelings. It's almost like he's loudly proclaiming that he doesn't find it appropriate to value your emotional realm. This kind of behavior isn't merely accidental. It's a clear display of his deep-seated emotional selfishness. Without shame, he prioritizes his own personal needs, whether that involves a desire for privacy, some temporary challenges, or just plain indecision over your mental well-being, which you undoubtedly deserve to have respected and upheld. And the most outrageous part of all is that when he finally reappears on the horizon, he actually expects you to have been waiting for him all along, frozen at the exact same point, as if your entire life has been paused just for his sake. Sadly, numerous women, motivated by hope or deep love, allow a man like this to re-enter their lives. They respond to his messages, accept his absurd excuses, and unknowingly grow used to this distressing instability. They start to believe that it's normal for a man to vanish at the whim of his desires and come back whenever he pleases without ever taking responsibility for his actions. However, this situation is not related to genuine love at all. It is more about a relationship where his own personal comfort and convenience are the main focus and priority, not your well-being or happiness. As Louise Hay wisely pointed out, you are not responsible for the actions of others, but you are only responsible for how you treat yourself. And when you allow yourself to accept these sudden returns without any explanation, you unwittingly convince yourself that you deserve exactly as much as he is willing to offer you, which, as we can see, is actually very little. Trust me, when a man like that walks away, it's not due to confusion, but because he has the luxury to do so. Because he doesn't appreciate the worth of your feelings and doesn't feel compelled to value your loyalty. And when he returns, it's not love guiding him, but rather a simple need. Perhaps he grew weary, or maybe his romantic pursuits didn't succeed, or perhaps he just wants to confirm that you're still an option for him. However, you're not just a reset button, nor are you a mere emotional refuge for him to seek when his plans crumble. You are an independent and self-sufficient woman, possessing a rich and vibrant inner world, with feelings that truly don't deserve to be repeatedly hurt by someone who continuously proves incapable of staying committed and present. Understanding this is not about being cold, but rather shows emotional maturity. It is realizing that genuine love shouldn't be so painful, and that someone who truly values you won't just vanish without a word. If they do leave, they will have the courage to explain why, look you in the eye, and speak with respect. Next time a sudden hello appears, ask, is it love or habit? Is he truly coming back this time? Or is he merely repeating the same painful cycle all over again? Is he genuinely willing to make a change in his actions and behavior? Or does he simply want things to remain as they are without any real change? Do not be afraid to close doors that only open when it suits him and his needs. As Louise Hay rightly pointed out, self-respect begins when you make the decision to no longer allow what once broke you to continue affecting your life. And that respect truly begins with you. At times, the most painful blows aren't the words that are spoken, but rather the meanings hidden behind them. Those casually tossed phrases such as "I saw you in a dream," "I was thinking about you today," or even the cryptic "How strange that we lost touch," can be quite telling. There are no clear specifics in these snippets, no actual suggestions of reconnecting, not even a simple inquiry about how you are feeling. It's akin to an angler casting a net into murky waters just to see what might catch. And then, when you've almost succeeded in forgetting, you turn the page and suddenly that seemingly insignificant remark explodes into your world. Your heart begins to pound wildly, and in your mind, scenarios, doubts, and illusions start to form. Is he truly longing for you? Are those feelings still lingering? Yet, the harsh reality is that these messages are not meant as bridges to come back. They are cleverly cast hooks designed to test if he still holds sway over your emotions. Emotionally immature or selfish men often don't repair relationships. They want to ensure they still matter to you, that their absence hasn't caused them to vanish from your life, that they continue to have a place in your thoughts, in your heart, and in your energy. This type of communication is manipulation at its core. It lacks clarity, it lacks clear intention, and it lacks any accountability for emotions. It's an effort to keep you on a short leash without any commitment that demands genuine presence. The ambiguity in this situation is a deliberate tool. It enables him to steer clear of specifics, yet still receive validation of his importance if you respond. Louise Hay wisely noted that we give what we give and we get what we get. By focusing on these meaningless messages, you set yourself up for confusion. Giving your energy to someone who is unsure of what they want will leave you drained and emotionally burned out, hoping that their vague words will eventually take shape. However, that seldom occurs. He really is not interested in your well-being. Instead, he is mainly curious to know if you miss him. He isn't seeking to build a future with you. Rather, he's merely feeding his ego by ensuring he hasn't lost his control over you. And that, my dear, is definitely not love. It is just selfishness, cleverly disguised as genuine interest. Emotional uncertainty is indeed a form of power. He sends a message, watches your reaction carefully, and depending on what he sees, he chooses whether to approach you more, pull away again, or leave you feeling confused amidst a whirlwind of emotions, and without any clear understanding. This exhausting game is a trap, compelling you to perpetually live in anticipation of something that will never come to pass. Many women unfortunately find themselves ensnared in the trap of unhealthy relationships. From a young age, they are taught to interpret every small sign of attention as a sign of love. They are encouraged to idealize insignificant acts and to believe that if a man happens to remember them, it means he genuinely cares about them. However, my friend, it is crucial to learn to differentiate between genuine love and mere habit, between sincere interest and the need for self-assertion. Do not mistake simple curiosity for serious intentions, and do not confuse beautiful words with genuine actions. If a man is not pursuing an honest and open dialogue, if his actions do not align with the desire to build a shared future, then his message of "I miss you" is merely a test to see if you are still within his reach. Remember, you're not a radar. You are a woman deserving of clarity, presence, and emotional reciprocity. Recognize these signs as emotional immaturity, indicating your feelings are seen as readily available. Avoid empty phrases that lead nowhere. As Louise Hay wisely reminds us, you deserve genuine love, not endless confusion and doubt. This love starts with you, by rejecting those unworthy of your attention, by being mindful of your energy, and focusing it on those who have clear intentions and match their words with true actions. This relationship dynamic is more common than we'd like to admit. You're always available, attentive, and ready to help. When he needs to vent, you reply right away. When he texts late at night, you answer immediately. When he talks about a tough day, you listen closely. You're his safe haven, support, and loyal companion, always there with an open heart. However, when you need his support, he is nowhere to be found. He takes a long time to respond, often citing his busyness or justifying his absence with vague phrases such as, "I've been extremely busy," or "I really don't have any time at all." And sometimes it just fades away, especially when you're in need of clarity and certainty. It's not merely a random lack of interest, but rather a recurring emotional pattern that truly drains you. It's utterly exhausting because it leaves you feeling like you're giving your entire self away, yet receiving only a small amount in return. Your feelings only matter to him when it's convenient, and you find yourself pleading for even the most basic level of attention and reciprocity as if it's something extraordinary instead of your rightful expectation. Such a relationship isn't love, it's a deep imbalance. What's most frustrating is it often begins very differently. Initially, he seems attentive, caring, and interested, but once he knows you're emotionally available, he stops trying. He knows you'll be there even if he's only half present, giving you just bits of his time and attention. The renowned Louise Hay wisely mentioned, "You should never humiliate yourself by seeking love, attention, or intimacy. If these feelings do not come about naturally and sincerely, they lack true value." This unchanging truth must be deeply embedded in our consciousness. Because when we follow the emotional whims of others, attempting to fit into an unsuitable framework, our personality breaks into pieces, becoming impossible to reassemble. Picture a man who expects you to adjust to his schedule, his moods, and his emotional availability. He insists on your presence whenever he wants to converse, yet becomes irritated if you seek his support and involvement. He alone chooses when to open or close the doors of your relationship, And you, without realizing it, start seeking permission to show your feelings, to share your thoughts, and to simply exist within this relationship. This kind of imbalance is not just a random occurrence, it is a deliberate and carefully crafted strategy of emotional manipulation. By withholding support when you are in a difficult moment, he compels you to seek his approval and makes you feel obligated to do more, give more, and be better in order to earn his favor. Consequently, you find yourself engaged in a game where you invest all your resources and he manages your emotions as though he is doing you a significant favor by finding both time and desire to be with you. However, love should not be seen as a transaction. It isn't merely a one-sided game where you give and hope to be repaid someday. True love is about equal exchange. It's about mutual presence and a genuine emotional commitment. Many women endure this type of relationship for many years due to irrational fears. These include the fear of losing him, the fear of being alone, or the fear of admitting the harsh truth that this is not love. Yet, by remaining in such a relationship, you end up losing your most valuable asset, yourself. You endure the painful wait for validation that never truly arrives. You accept small scraps of affection given only when it suits him. Yet, you deserve far more than relying on someone who rarely considers you. You truly deserve a relationship in which both partners are completely and genuinely present, where your emotions are never seen as irritating or bothersome, where you can openly and freely express the words "I need you" without ever feeling any sense of guilt or weakness. Recall Louise Hay's wisdom: love yourself enough to say no to those who seek you only occasionally. By being present for yourself, you'll stop accepting those who appear just when it's convenient. Your life isn't a waiting room for others' absence. You truly deserve to create and nurture a strong, harmonious relationship with a man who understands how to be genuinely close to you. He should choose you not just during convenient times, but also when it truly matters. He should be someone who offers you the same things you are prepared to give: presence, care, and sincerity. There is a certain unspoken scenario that is, unfortunately, all too familiar to many women, and because it is unspoken, it becomes even more painful. For a long period, whether it's weeks or even months, there is nothing about him. No word, no sign, no news, not the slightest indication of interest. Then suddenly, as if out of nowhere, he reappears, greeting you with a question like, "How are you?" in an enveloping voice, as if there had been no such long pause, as if the connection had never been interrupted. However, it takes only a slightly more detailed examination to realize that these sudden returns happen at very specific times in his life. These are the moments when he feels downcast, when his world appears dull and devoid of joy, when relationships with others have failed, when he is overwhelmed by feelings of sadness, isolation, or simply an intense yearning to experience love. You become for him a sort of refuge, a safe haven. But unfortunately, this is true only when every other door has been shut. And you, with your natural and inherent breadth of soul, listen attentively and carefully to him. You find the right and comforting words, generously sharing your time and energy to make him feel significant, needed, and not alone. Yet as soon as he regains his composure and his ego is saturated with your attention, he vanishes into nothingness once more. It's as if your support was merely a temporary emotional patch, designed solely to gild his inner voids. As Louise Hay wisely pointed out, the thoughts we hold about ourselves ultimately shape our reality. If, on a subconscious level, you are convinced that you deserve love only during someone else's crisis, then eventually you will find yourself taking on the role of a vest for tears. This happens without you ever becoming a true priority in someone else's life. You end up agreeing to be merely a backup option, a reserve airfield, rather than being chosen consciously, with genuine love and clear intentions. A man like this is not truly seeking deep, soulful intimacy with you. Instead, he is only interested in the convenience of immediate, momentary relief. He's flattered by your attention. Your presence comforts him and distracts from his problems. He doesn't seek a relationship, just uses your energy for emotional support. Once he regains control, he leaves without regret. Recognizing this can be hard, as it impacts your need to feel important and special. But it's crucial to wake up and realize your life isn't a space to be filled by others. You are not merely a temporary shelter to weather the storm, only to then seek out a more comfortable and easier destination once you feel stronger and more prepared. Many women attempt to justify these kinds of comebacks by persuading themselves that perhaps he truly has changed this time around. I feel like he is genuinely different now. Maybe he actually desires something serious at this point. However, as we are aware, patterns are reliable indicators and do not deceive. If someone appears in your life solely during times of personal turmoil, it is not an indication of a genuine connection. Instead, it is merely a hidden emotional benefit disguised under a facade of tenderness. The true value of a relationship is revealed in its permanence, in its ability to be there for you, not only in times of joy and well-being, but also in times of trials and tribulations. You truly deserve a love that is all-encompassing, not one that is situational, where you are merely sought out for temporary comfort. Genuine love is not just a visitor that appears during your lonely moments, but rather a loyal companion that shares the entirety of life's journey with you. Understanding this truth can be painful, yet it is precisely this pain that marks the beginning of awakening your sense of self-worth. By choosing not to be available to those who look for in you only a brief refuge from their emptiness, you are taking a significant step toward achieving emotional maturity and self-respect. By saying no to the role of being a savior, you allow yourself to embrace the role you truly deserve, which is that of an equal partner who is chosen both unconditionally and consciously. Always remember, you are not a backup plan, not a temporary fix, nor a provisional emotional support for those who fail to appreciate your true value. As Louise Hay wisely noted, until you appreciate yourself, you won't appreciate your time. And without valuing your time, you can't manage it well. Cherish your time, conserve your energy, and avoid spending it on those who show up only during your moments of mental void. By choosing to prioritize yourself, you elevate the standards of love that you are willing to welcome into your life. You truly deserve to be pursued, not from mere boredom, but with genuine intent, with deep respect rather than anxiety, with a commitment that is steadfast, not just a temporary need. And only someone who has consciously chosen to prioritize themselves will be able to offer you this. There comes a significant moment in every woman's life that is not only filled with fear, but also with necessity. It's a moment that calls for an honest and open conversation. When something is bothering you, you take the time to calmly and openly share your feelings, hoping for a mature and constructive dialogue. You discuss what is troubling you, specifically name your wounds, clearly identify personal boundaries, and express your fears along with your deepest desires. However, when you seek maturity, understanding, and support, you don't receive it in return. Rather, your partner becomes annoyed, withdraws, shifts the topic, or belittles your experiences by claiming you're overreacting or being dramatic. What starts as an attempt to connect transforms into building an emotional barrier. This behavior isn't just an innocent mistake. It's a deliberate form of emotional avoidance, a method to sidestep soul work while undermining your feelings. Moreover, it's a subtle manipulation crafted to make you question your own thoughts, leading you to think that your feelings are overly intense and your desire for understanding is an unreasonable request. As Louise Hay once mentioned, you've been criticizing yourself for many years, and it hasn't brought any success. Try embracing yourself and observe the changes. When you encounter sacrifice or avoidance as a reaction to your true emotions, you start experiencing guilt and uncertainty. Maybe you have been a bit too intrusive, emotional, or outspoken. However, the reality is that having an honest conversation shouldn't intimidate someone who genuinely wants to support you. An emotionally mature man doesn't shy away from dialogue. He appreciates it, seeing it as a bridge to reinforce the relationship. On the other hand, a man with low emotional maturity will turn the conversation into a battlefield where you end up blaming yourself just for having the courage to express your feelings. Frequently, a man will employ what appears to be a sacrifice as a form of defense. He starts to persuade you about the overwhelming pressure he claims to face, emphasizing the complete lack of understanding from others and the unjust accusations he feels are directed at him. And then, almost magically, the attention moves from your experiences to his imagined suffering and resentment. This is a classic case of gaslighting, a manipulative tactic meant to distort your reality, making you question your own correctness. What's the ultimate aim of this behavior? It's to silence you, to plant doubt before every word, to stifle natural emotions out of fear, and to trigger passive-aggressive reaction. Gradually, you start losing your voice in the relationship, hiding your true feelings, avoiding honest conversations, all to prevent irritation or being labeled as too emotional. However, a relationship without room for free expression is an emotional prison. You deserve more than tiptoeing around fearing discomfort. Aim for a strong, sincere union with openness and understanding. Truth emerges from arguments, discussions, and honest confrontation. If a man makes you feel guilty for seeking respect or expressing emotions, you're not emotionally mature. Most likely, this is someone who hasn't learned to confront the truth yet and avoids any chance to view themselves from an external perspective. As Louise Hay astutely notes, you have the ability to heal your life, but to achieve this, you must be ready to confront the root of your pain. And sometimes, the hardest part is acknowledging that the person you care about just lacks the emotional maturity to love you in the way that you truly deserve. You should not stay silent or suppress your emotions just to keep someone who cannot truly be there for you. Remember, your voice is powerful and can make a significant difference. Seeking clarity is not an act of aggression. Your sensitivity is not an overreaction. You are not asking for too much. Rather, you are reaching out to someone who isn't the right fit for you. Silence can be peaceful, but also a punishment. From someone who knows your worth, it's a manipulation tool. He is fully aware that you're eagerly waiting for a reply, that you're nervously looking at your phone, constantly checking if he's online, wondering whether he has read your message and if he plans to reply. And yet he remains silent. It's not due to being busy or lacking time, but because he wants you to sense his absence, to worry about your mistakes. This silence isn't void, it's intentional. It's a calculated emotional tactic to foster uncertainty and anxiety. Often, this occurs just after a candid conversation where you have openly shared your feelings, expressing your need for clarity, honesty, and reciprocity. At that very moment, he unexpectedly vanishes, severing the connection and leaving you in a state of painful ignorance. You begin to reflect deeply and painfully, and instead of feeling secure from your own openness, you are overwhelmed with an unwarranted sense of guilt, as if your sincerity was somehow excessive. As Louise Hay wisely noted, love never punishes, love does not hurt, love heals. If someone uses silence to punish, it's not love but manipulation, testing your resilience. They're waiting for you to break and apologize for your feelings, your words, your need for genuine emotional connection. Prolonged, deliberate silence can be considered a form of covert violence. It's a method of control because it's not merely about the refusal to communicate. He intentionally leaves the conversation incomplete, depriving you of emotional release, and does not allow you to fully understand the essence of what occurred, leaving you in a suspended state. In this oppressive uncertainty, you start searching for explanations, justifying his actions, and placing the blame on yourself. This kind of behavior is extremely tiring and draining because it leaves you alone with your own experiences, with the feeling that love is painful and that expressing yourself can have negative consequences. It makes you feel that every word you say leads either to giving up or to remaining silent. This dynamic slowly and gradually erodes your inner confidence. The most unfortunate aspect is that numerous women start to adjust to these circumstances, accepting them as normal, persuading themselves that he simply is that way. They believe it's preferable to remain quiet, to yield, and to steer clear of the silence that causes so much pain. However, my dear, when silence is used as a weapon, it transforms the relationship into an emotional battle where you inevitably end up on the losing side. An emotionally mature man will not ignore you as a form of punishment. He won't vanish when the conversation gets uncomfortable for him. He won't leave you, especially when you need emotional validation or support the most. Someone who genuinely loves you will always be there to respond. Even if he doesn't have all the answers immediately available, he will remain present with you. He will be there, truly present. He will not use his absence as a tool for manipulation or control. Louise Hay also imparted wisdom, teaching us that you cannot force someone to love you. However, you do possess the power to refuse accepting less than what you truly deserve. And you absolutely deserve someone who will consistently be there for you, who will attentively respond to your feelings, who will not abandon you to face your pain alone, who will not leave you with unresolved questions or emotions left hanging in the air. If he chooses to ignore you, especially when you really need his support, and if he vanishes right at the moment when you are most vulnerable and open, it's not simply a lack of attention. It's a deliberate strategy, a form of manipulation. It's a repeated pattern of behavior designed to control you from a distance. And you should never feel like you have to plead for his words. You shouldn't have to beg for his presence. You truly deserve to be heard, to be seen, and to be respected. Silence used as a form of punishment is not about respect. It is actually a hidden kind of emotional abuse, cloaked in the guise of privacy. You should stop playing the part of the endlessly waiting, excusing, and silent person, always scared of being punished with yet another round of being ignored. You truly deserve to be in a relationship where expressing your feelings openly is never a risk, and where your voice doesn't cause alienation. Instead, it should help in building strong bridges of understanding and genuine intimacy. Silence that leads to heartache is not merely the absence of words, it is a form of subtle manipulation, and you are meant for something far greater than you can measure. As you listen to these words, you might be experiencing a complex array of emotions. You may find yourself recalling fragment conversations, extended silences, and times when you felt like you were giving your all without receiving much in return. Maybe you're feeling overcome by anger, sadness, guilt, or simply an overwhelming sense of fatigue. If so, let me sincerely tell you, you are not alone. Thousands of women have loved emotionally unavailable people, making excuses for their hurtful actions. They patiently waited for the treasured message, the call, the apology that never arrived. They did this not out of weakness, naivety, or dependence, but because they had a habit of prioritizing others' needs over their own, mistaking self-sacrifice for genuine love. They truly believed that by giving enough of themselves, they would eventually be chosen and appreciated. However, today a profound truth is revealed to you, one that can no longer be overlooked. It might not be pleasant, but it is indeed liberating. You do not have to prove your worth to anyone. Your emotional energy is a sacred gift. Your time, tenderness, and devotion are not mere coins for purchasing favor. Instead, they are invaluable treasures meant to be shared with those who can truly understand, appreciate, and respect them. Louise Hay wisely reminds us to love ourselves for who we truly are, for what we do, and for the way we do it. You are self-sufficient, and this self-sufficiency doesn't rely on him responding, changing, or coming back to you. It is based entirely on you, on how you perceive yourself, on your self-esteem, and on how often you choose to prioritize peace of mind over emotional chaos, even when that chaos is cleverly disguised as love. Seeing these harmful patterns shows emotional maturity and wisdom, not coldness. It is the profound realization that loving someone is possible without losing your own identity, that you can care for others without ignoring your own needs, and that setting boundaries is essential. This isn't about arrogance, but rather a form of self-defense. It is your soul's way of saying enough because it understands that you are worthy of more. You deserve a love that is clear and sincere, one that doesn't vanish unexpectedly, doesn't resort to silence, doesn't reach out to you only in moments of loneliness, and doesn't penalize you for expressing your emotions. You truly deserve a love that is constant and reliable, a courageous love that is carefully built and nurtured day by day through words and deeds, grounded in respect and honesty. A love that is unafraid of your depths, one that embraces your emotions without hesitation. And indeed, such a love does exist, but it begins within yourself. It starts when you refuse to accept what you once tolerated, when you find the strength to rise up after relationships that have left you broken, and when you close doors, not with resentment, but with a firm and resolute determination. When you come to the understanding that losing someone you were unsure how to support is not truly a loss, but rather an act of self-love that is both healing and revitalizing for your well-being. At this moment, you might not possess a complete understanding, and you might not be able to see the entire picture clearly. It's quite possible that you still harbor feelings from the past within your heart, and the pain from those experiences remains very tangible. This is entirely natural, as the journey of healing one's soul is not a straightforward path. Instead, it is a winding road filled with unexpected twists and turns that you must navigate. There isn't a one-size-fits-all solution or a miraculous remedy that can immediately mend wounds. However, each step you take toward self-improvement, each effort you make to regain inner peace is indeed a significant achievement. Every time you deliberately choose a healthy silence rather than giving in to the whirlwind of emotions and pointless arguments, you are initiating a true inner revolution which slowly but surely changes your life. As Louise Hay wisely noted, everything happens for the best. All the events in your life are directed towards your highest good. Even from the most challenging situations, something positive is bound to emerge. You are completely safe. Repeat these words like a mantra, write them down in your journal, and truly believe in them because they represent the truth. You are protected, and you are moving forward steadily, even if there are challenges and painful moments along the way. Remember, every experience contributes to your growth and well-being. You are moving steadily towards becoming that version of yourself that refuses to settle for anything less than you deserve, that no longer looks for validation from others, but instead finds it deep within yourself. You are evolving into a woman who has acquired profound wisdom, recognized her own immense power, and has deliberately chosen her path. This act of unconditional self-love has the potential to completely transform your life. If you ever find yourself overwhelmed by doubts, remember this crucial point. You were not born into this world just to be a backup option for someone when it's convenient for them. Your true destiny is to be chosen with intention, honesty, and bravery. This can only be accomplished by a man who has already chosen himself and his own path in life.